Hello, welcome back to the Metal Hunter. My name is Luke, and I'm going to attempt to do the vinyl tag of 2020. Now, I know that it's July and I'm 6 months late, but that is just my way. I saw that Max from The Dark Path did this recently, and I really enjoy his content, and I thought, well, hell, if he can do it this late in the year, maybe I can do it. I also really enjoyed Matt from the Vinyl Accusations take on this one. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. I really enjoy watching his shit. So if you guys haven't seen The Dark Path or the Vinyl Accusation, you should just definitely check them out. Maybe after this video. So firstly, I just want to say thank you so much for getting me over 250,000 viewers on my channel overall. That happened either last week or earlier this week. I can't remember, days are just completely blurring. It's such a weird thing to think that 250,000 people have watched my videos, but also, you know, here's to 250,000 more. Like, I'm happy to just keep doing this. I know that I've been a little bit more sporadic with my uploads. I'm going to try and change that very shortly because, you know, I love doing this and I love talking about metal. So if you love listening to me talk about metal and prattle on about like records and shit like that, make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you follow me on Instagram. I'm doing a thing over on Instagram of 100 pieces of physical media over 100 days. I'm on to like day 45 or something like that. So make sure that you follow me. All right, now that all that bullshit is out of the way, let's get into the vinyl tag of 2020. So for those of you who don't know what the vinyl tag is, it's basically 20 questions about your vinyl collection, regardless of genre or anything like that. So if you've got a couple of pearlers in there that aren't necessarily your normal genre, sometimes they can pop up in these lists. So it's it's 20 questions, and each question has an answer in a form of a vinyl. So it's going to be quite a long episode. So to keep us company, I've got in the background Gruesome, Twisted Prayers. This album came out in like 2018. These guys are not a tribute band, but an homage band to Death. All of their albums sound a lot like Death, and their artwork is quite obviously very reminiscent of Death kind of stuff. So me personally, being a huge Death fan, I'm very happy to hear them. Okay, so here we go. Best vinyl find of 2019. Now, 2019 was a bit of a banger year for me, a bit of a prolific year, if you will, for my record collection. I definitely picked up a lot of white whales and a lot of albums that I really, really were looking for. I do have a lot of collection holes and a lot of collection goals as well. For my record collection, I've got basically everything I could possibly want on CD, but it's all about picking up vinyl. So this is one of many, but I'll just do this one because it was the first one that I grabbed, and it is Immortal Battles in the North. Now this is a repress. I'm not overly fussed about like represses and original presses. I generally avoid back on black, or at least back on black pre-2009 presses. But fortunately, this isn't on back on black. This is Osmos Productions, and then I think there was like an imprint or something like that. So this is like a 2010 repress. It sounds fucking ferocious. It's one of my favorite black metal albums of all time, and it looks amazing. It's wonderful to have the album artwork like right in front of you, and it's just such a wonderful looking album. Favorite album from 2019. Now this one is, I'm going to put a little asterisk next to this. If you guys have watched my favorite albums of 2019 or my 13 best albums of 2019, you'll know that this wasn't my number one. Now I actually don't own my number one on vinyl yet. It's because they don't have distribution in Australia, and postage is very expensive. So I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I really do want to. But hey, we get a consolation prize, my number 2 album of 2019, which was Old Star by Dark Throne. Now this one was picked up from Hiss and Crackle Records in Wallsend, which is just near where I live. If you've followed my channel for a little while, you'll probably know that I am absolutely in love with that record store. It's my favorite record store in Australia, I would imagine. I love going in there, and I love talking to Mitch about records and shit like that. So, you know, a lot of bands, a lot of people kind of fucking, you know, talk shit on this album and said it was just like a shadow of what they used to do, but I really enjoyed that 70s hard rock slash Motorhead vibe that they did on this album. And yeah, it's one of my favorite albums, or yeah, one of my favorite albums of last year. So that's why it gets on the list. A novelty record. Now this one, it's not really metal, but it's definitely a novelty. I never ever pull it out and play it because I've got a different version of it. This one goes for a lot of money these days for some reason. I guess it is hand numbered. So it is Under Oath's Lost in the Sound of Separation. Now this is my favorite album from Under Oath. I didn't really like the last album that they put out, the one that they put out after they got back together. So I'm just going to fold this one out. There's like a Velcro kind of thing. So you fold it out. It's got some CDs and shit like that in there, and then it has the vinyl. So I'll just pull out the vinyl so you guys can get an idea of what it looks like. Inside it, there is a book. When you open it up, it has a bunch of art that's included with the normal album, and then some photos from the studio. It also has a hand-signed card and also a hand-numbered card. So I have number 2,397 of 5,000, and also the records come in these awesome sleeves with lyrics all over them, and they do come in 2 colors, and they've got the buzzsaw cut, and that's in the almost translucent red. Wonderful looking records. I just never get them out because they just, I mean, I've got the album on LP, and yeah, it's just a bit of a novelty. Like it just sits in my collection, and you know, sometimes I put it up on a shelf or something like that so I can just see it. But other than that, there's not really much point of putting it on because I've got the album, you know. Put that over there. All right, an homage record, a cover that pays homage to another artist. Okay, so I went through my record collection this morning, like looking at a couple of different bits and pieces and thinking, I mean, a lot of bands do little tips of the hat and kind of little nods in directions of artists. But this one, I think, is a definite homage. Now, it's 2 of my favorite bands of all time, so this is probably why I see it so often. The album that's being ripped off is Converge, Jane Doe. I do love that album so much. I've got it tattooed on my arm. So that's the front cover. And this is the front cover to He Is Legend's Heavy Fruit. I mean, it basically comes down to the way that the lady's face is, and basically like a very similar kind of art style. So I was fortunate enough to get this one signed by the band when they toured in Australia for Soundwave. 2 of my favorite bands, 2 of my favorite albums, and I'll forgive He Is Legend for ripping some stees from Converge because I know that the guys from He Is Legend love Converge. So a B-side deep cut. Now, I didn't really get what they were asking with this one, so I'm assuming that it just means like a deep cut from a band's discography. So I thought I'd grab this one out because I love the album cover. And I don't think it gets enough love. I think a lot of people write it off because they have some classic albums before it and some really good albums after it. And it might not be their best material, but there's still some great songs on there. And it is Obituary Frozen in Time. This is a repress on Cargo Records. And it is just the black variant. Nothing too excited about this one, but the album is fucking awesome and the artwork is sick, and it doesn't seem to want to get back in its sleeve. So yeah, that's a deep cut that I pull this one out every now and then, give it a good flogging. But you don't see it often. You don't see a lot of people talk about it that often. It did just have a birthday not long ago, so made me think of it. All right, quick one, something funky. Stevie Wonder. Everyone needs some Stevie Wonder in their collection. I've got most of his albums. My dad's a big Stevie Wonder fan, so I don't know if that's kind of just followed on to me or something like that. Nice and easy. Weird shelf buddies, records next to each other that make an odd pair. My albums aren't really in alphabetical order. They're kind of, I pull them out all the time and listen to them, and when I get drunk, they don't generally go back into where they're meant to be. But the closest thing that I could find was Toto 4, which obviously has Rosanna and Africa, and my Typo Negative collection. This is the repress of Bloody Kisses from 2018 on silver. So I thought that was an interesting kind of combination. Imagine seeing Toto and Typo Negative on the same festival or same show. That would be an interesting thing. I Was There, a band I've seen live. Now, a band that I've seen live, I've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bands, more bands that I can care to count. But I bought this album from the show, so I guess that's probably the best answer. Code Orange, I Am King. Now, this is the splatter green and white variant, from memory, I think. Yeah, so it's like a marbled green. So I saw these guys at the Small Ballroom in Newcastle, and I think there's a 200 cap or something like that on that room. So it was very violent, very visceral, and it was very enjoyable to see these guys. I don't really dig on their newest album, but I do enjoy the album after this one and everything previous to this one, and also this album. This is probably my favorite album from them. What's next? Let's have a quick look. What was that? Oh, wish I had an OG copy, but all you have is a damn repress. Okay, so this is going to be the same answer for both this question and the next question. Deafheaven. I just wish I had another copy of this. I know that Relapse are doing new represses. This is Back on Black from like 2007, I want to say. Yeah, so Century Media, Back on Black 2007, and it just doesn't sound that great. The packaging is wonderful. The press of the actual vinyl looks amazing. So you can see that it looks so nice. But it seriously sounds like someone has recorded the album on their phone and then pressed it to vinyl. It just sounds so shit. I'm happy to have it in my collection and everything like that, but I definitely need an OG copy, or I need to get another repress. Discography you own all major releases of an artist, or an artist you own the most of. I probably own the most of Iron Maiden, or Metallica, or there's a couple. Morbid Angel maybe, but this is definitely one that I own every studio album of. So it is Death. I've already done a full Death video, so I'll just go through these quickly. I've got Scream Bloody Gore, Leprosy, Spiritual Healing. I won't get any of these out because if you want to watch the video, I'll link it somewhere up there and you can go and watch that full video. Symbolic, Individual Thought Patterns, and of course The Sound of Perseverance. Now, I don't have the live album, and I need to get another human version as well. And I have so many variants on CD as well, so yeah, probably they're the most that I've got. A unique center label. Now, I didn't want to go through my entire collection and find a unique center label because that's fucking gonna take forever, but my favorite center labels are the Vertigo Black Sabbath. Absolutely love these. I'm sure that everyone's got one of them. And then they just got a normal center label. It's just mesmerizing to watch while they spin. A pre-band, an album or band that features someone who went on to be famous. Okay, so I kind of racked my brain for a little while on this one. Wasn't really sure of anyone that really became like famous, but I guess I'll just go with Rob Zombie from White Zombie. I mean, he was famous when he was in this band, thanks to Beavis and Butthead. This is just a black repress from a couple of years ago. You know, he became famous from doing the House of a Thousand Corpses films and obviously The Devil's Rejects, and then remaking Halloween 1 and 2. He's found a lot of fame as a solo artist as well, but yeah, that's probably the best I could go with that answer. Everyone else is basically still in their own band. Music, book, or movie you'd recommend? This was a gift that I got from someone when I moved back from London. It was a parting gift, and it is Swedish death metal. Now, this is a fucking book and a half. I'm not a huge reader, but there's lots of pretty pictures, and it shows like flyers and pictures from Swedish death metal. And it also has this awesome thing in the back where it's just basically like an encyclopedia of all of the fucking awesome death metal, like Swedish death metal bands that were around back in the day. So fantastic book. I've actually read through most of this once. There's some amazing stories and amazing like little factoids about all these amazing bands like Dismember, Entombed, Carnage, Grotesque, General Surgery, shit like that. Fucking awesome. Okay. Music book. An underrated album. This band, I have no idea why people don't like. I have no idea. It's Twitching Tongues. In Love There Is No War. I could have probably... In Love There Is No Law, not In Love There Is No War. Fuck me dead. I could probably pick up any of their albums and show it to you and go, this is an underrated album. Okay, so Twitching Tongues is... If Candlemass were American and Candlemass were a hardcore band, that's who Twitching Tongues would be. It's really that simple. And being a huge Candlemass and Doom fan, it really kind of like, it blows my mind. It's just on a black vinyl. It's the first press. It blows my mind that more people aren't into this band, especially from the metal community. They did sign to Metal Blade Records, which I thought was a very, very smart move. But they still didn't get picked up by a lot of people. A lot of people weren't really sure of their stylistic direction. But they've got Sean Martin from Hatebreed in the band now, so that's pretty fucking cool. Well, he's been in the band for quite a few years. But yeah, if you haven't heard Twitching Tongues, I definitely recommend to go and check them out. Batting average, an artist or band who consistently makes good albums. I'm going to go with a nice easy one, a band that I've spoken about on this channel a few times. It's going to be Deafheaven. So they haven't released a bad album. None of their songs are bad. Every album is fantastic. You know, I could name probably about 10 bands, like, you know, bands like He Is Legend, bands like Converge, bands like Deafheaven, that are very, very consistent. But I think a lot of people don't name these guys as a consistently amazing band. Every record has been fucking awesome. I don't have a copy of Sunbather. I've been trying to track one down for a little while. Mitch from Hiss and Crackle is onto it for me, so hopefully I'll be able to get one very shortly. But regardless of what you think of them, whether you think that they're pissing on the history of black metal, or they're, you know, a soy boy leftist band, or whatever the fuck you think, they put out incredible ambient black metal albums. And yeah, I really enjoy them. I think that they don't have any bad albums, so yeah. Same album, different cover. Here we go. I'm gonna get flamed for this. Okay, so as I said before, this is a vinyl tag, not a metal tag, and because I have quite an eclectic music taste, there's a lot of records in my record collection that aren't metal at all, including these two. So same album, different cover. So the album that is being copied is My Chemical Romance, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, and the album that copied it is an Australian band called Hellions, and this album is called Opera Oblivia. It's probably closer to the Black Parade lyrically and thematically, but musically it's definitely closer to 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. Now, I'm a big My Chemical Romance fan. I think that they're a new version of Queen. You know, a lot of people will fucking jump in the comments and absolutely murder me for that, and that's fine. But Hellions are an Australian punk rock hardcore band that did a bit of a spin on them. I absolutely love this album. This is one of my favorite Australian albums of all time. Even though they're not super heavy or anything like that, I can't listen to crazy metal all the time. I do have a fairly vast, wide musical palette, and some may even say that I've got musical bipolar. I would be one of those people as well. What else we got? Underrated album, batting average, same album, different. An album you bought cheap that's now worth a lot of money. This fucking blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. Let me bring up my Discogs. Now, I did a Discogs video about albums that are worth the most out of all the albums that I own. So if you haven't seen that one, I'll link that somewhere up here. But this one blew me away. This one goes for a medium of $140 or $138.45 and goes for up to $162.88. The lowest price is $57.33. I bought it for $28, and it is Architect's Daybreaker. So this is the limited edition 180 gram vinyl. It did have the CD included with it, which is in my car, and that's got the liner notes. It's pretty dusty because I barely listen to it, because I mainly listen to these guys on CD. I just happened to see it. I was like, oh, it's $30. Like, I'll fucking grab that. not one of my favorite albums by them, but also not their worst album. Definitely some amazing tracks, and it's definitely the point when they started going in that direction that they've hit like by now. Devil's Island is incredible. Alpha Omega, obviously, and These Colors Don't Run are 3 standout tracks from this album. So if you're into Architects and you haven't heard that album, you definitely should check that out. Okay, let's go back to our list. Favorite drummer. It's not my favorite drummer of all time. This guy is just someone that I'm really into at the moment, especially because he's so engaging with his fans and so engaging with the scene in general. And it's Alan Cassidy from the Black Dahlia Murder. The fact that he just puts out drum videos to every song that they release is absolutely incredible. I think this was the first album he was on from memory. But yeah, Alan Cassidy, I can't wait for that new album. I know that it's out. I'm waiting for it on vinyl. I've ordered it. I've given it a listen a couple of times and it fucking sounds amazing. I can't wait to give it a spin. Number 19, Turning 20, an album turning 20 in 2020. 2020. It's my favorite band of all time. Pantera, Reinventing the Steel. This is a repress from a couple of years ago. Underrated album as well. I think a lot of people overlook this album and how fucking good it is. There's so many good riffs, so many great vocal lines on it. You know, obviously Phil has made some pretty silly decisions and said some fucking dumb as shit stuff over the years. And, you know, I don't know what to say about it. It is what it is. It is what it is. And yeah, you know, I can still enjoy the music, I guess. Okay, so last question is a trilogy of albums, 3 solid albums back to back from the same artist / band that shares a connecting thread. Now, I thought, oh, maybe I'll find something like a band that's done like a theme through all their albums. But then I was like, nah, fuck it. I'm just going to talk about one of my favorite bands of all time and their legendary first 3 albums, and it is Metallica. We got Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning. Now, these are all represses, obviously, because I'm not a fucking millionaire. And Master of Puppets. And just to be a cheeky prick, my favorite album by Metallica, and Justice for All. So that was it. Vinyl tag of 2020. I'll try and get in early next year for 2021. So I'm not like a fucking late prick. What did you guys think? What was your favorite in there? What did you hate? Should I do more videos like this? Let me know down in the comments. As I said before, follow me on Instagram. It'd be lovely to see you guys over there. Oh, excuse me. Also, make sure that you subscribe. I really do want to get to 10,000 subscribers. I'm sitting just under 3,000 at the moment. So if you like what you see, make sure that you subscribe and you'll see much more content from me. All right, I've been Luke, the Metal Hunter. I'll catch you later. Bye.